What is up, my fellow brother bears? I'm your host, Buddha Bear.
And I'm your co-host, BlackBear.
And welcome to
The Anime Den. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing episode 4 of ReZero Season 2.
So without further ado, let's get right into the review. I did a little change up. So, we just finished watching episode 4 of ReZero, and by God, this could have been, or this was, the most emotional video or episode ever. Ever. Like, we've seen, like, from all of season 1, like, all the heartwarming moments, they have no way, there's no way, shape, or form are they compared to this episode.
I feel like this one was the most wholesome, not the most emotional.
Well,
so I feel like the most emotional was like episode 15, where all of them were dead.
Well, I feel like that was an emotional, like that was emotional, and like in a way, but in my perspective, I think this one was way more emotional, just because of the sheer, what's the word I'm looking for? Message, the message they were just trying to send out, because before we get right into it, if you guys haven't watched the episode, click out this video, go watch it on whether Crunchyroll, Kiss Anime, all those other websites. You know, there's a link back in our episode 1 or episode 2 of doing this. Was it 1? Episode 1/2 of us doing it. You can go check the link there and go watch the video and come back right to us so you can see our review. So, do you want to start off? Or you want me to start off?
You start off.
All right. So, the video starts, or the episode starts with Subaru laying on his bed where his dad just body slammed him, and they have like a little father-son skinship of them just wrestling, where then his mom comes out to tell him that dinner's ready, and we get to see, or breakfast is ready, and we get to see Subaru's mom for the first time. And you know, they go to have a dinner, and they just have like a little weird talk of like sharing green peas and all this, where it's just, you know, they start to introduce the characters and how they and how Subaru interacted with them. So it goes on to have Subaru and his father go out for a walk, and during this, you know, Subaru's like having these little pains, and you see it, him like grab his head, and he's like, what is this, what's going on, like why is it hurting more than usual? And he says usual, like it happened before, like, because once he was done eating breakfast, he went to his room, sat down, and he waited for the clock to turn to 8. After it passed, the pain came back, and he said it's supposed to be calmer, like not like this painful.
No, he waited for the clock, because past 8 it was
school.
That's when
school started.
Yeah.
And like it was a sort of pain that hit him, and he's like, it's not supposed to be this bad. So his dad comes into his room and takes him out for a walk, and as Subaru is walking with his dad, a lot of people are stopping Subaru's dad and saying, hi, how are you, you know, all this other stuff. They're just catching up with him. And this one old man comes up to him and says, you're finally at the age where you can have a son. Your son really looks like you. And he starts saying, like, man, you really do look like your father, and starts like kind of what's the word? Comparing him to his to Subaru's father. And you know, Subaru gets that pain again, and he walks away, and he goes onto a bench. His dad tries to trick him by shaking a can and giving it to him. Subaru, who knows his father, like moves it to the side and stuff. And they go in to have a chat, and during this entire time, Subaru's father is constantly asking him, do you have a girl you like? Is there a girl you like? Is there a girl you like? And, you know, Subaru just keeps saying, no, there isn't, why do you keep asking this, why you keep changing the subject? And then Subaru gets into, we start getting into why Subaru is a NEET. You know, he starts saying, you can come out and say what you want to say, which is, why haven't I been going to school? Why did I stop all this? Why are you doing this? Like, you know, why have I done this? And it goes on to having Subaru and his father getting into this, like, huge, what's the word? Like, I don't want to say, there's another word for talk. I want to say bond, like this little bonding moment where Subaru breaks down and tells his father what he's been thinking of him, why he's given up on school, why he's given up on just things in general, because since his father was so good, he's always been in his father's shadow. He's always been Ted. You really are his son. You really are his son. They keep comparing him to his father, and no one ever looks at Subaru for Subaru himself. And it gets worse because Subaru tries hard to make sure that he reaches that point where people know, yeah, I'm his son. So when he gets to the point where he's failed for the first time, it hits him. He starts to be like, I have to be different in some sort of way, and he starts being rebellious. He starts being a little bit of a rebel, making all these problems and having this little gang with him. And as time goes on, he starts to notice, his friends are dwindling until one day he realizes for sure that there's no one else behind him, and he's not that special. And it hurts him, obviously. It hurts any kid at that time when they realize they're not special. And he goes on to just break down, and he has like a little rebuttal. I don't want to say rebuttal. Like, he has like middle school. His whole middle school time. He goes off under the radar. He's under the radar the entire time. He doesn't do anything special. High school comes. He tries to change it. This is high school. I'm gonna change who I am. He starts acting more like his dad. People tend to stay away from him and stuff. He starts acting, not like him not like his true self, but he starts acting like his father. And he's done it, and he keeps doing it until one day he wakes up and he just thinks, I'm tired of school. This is it. I'm just tired of school. So he just stops going to school, and he starts to close himself out from everything. And he starts to tell his father that he's wanted him to hate him, to basically tell him to get out, that you're not my son, and all of this other stuff. But Subaru was so scared of not being called out. His father and his mother gave him unconditional love and support, and he was afraid of that. He kept saying, you keep, in his mind, he's like, you keep giving me this love and all this support when all I'm giving you is problems and negativity. I'm not doing anything. Why are you doing this for me? He that confusion led him off to this. And as he's breaking down, he hears Amelia's voice call him out, and Amelia says all this good things about him, and then Rem pops into his head, and then Rem says all these good things about him, and then he remembers that those two never saw him as the son of his father, but they saw him for himself, and that's how he knew he had someone who loved him for him. He had support, and almost everyone in the ReZero world loved him for who he was, and that really impacted him. So, he said his things to his father, and then he goes towards, as he's saying all this stuff to his father, he begins to apologize. He begins to say, I'm sorry for this, because I'm never going to be able to say I'm sorry back. And it gets extremely emotional at that time, because you start to see him walk away, and he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to stop lazing around, and I'm going to focus. I'm going to be the man that you guys want me to be. And, he gets his shit together. He walks away. He gets back home, and, he has his little touching moment. And then he gets back to his mother. Do you want to explain that part?
Okay, right. So it goes back to him in his room. He's already dressed for school, and he goes down to see his mother, and his mother asks if he wants to eat mayonnaise with her. And he says no, and then she goes and says that that he never really liked it, that he only ate it because her and his dad ate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then after that,
I'm just waiting for him to tag me in so I can take part of it. All right, there it is. So Subaru, his mother starts to say, I always knew you don't like mayonnaise. If you had to pick the world or mayonnaise, what would you pick? He says the world. Anyone else who picks mayonnaise just hates the world. And she begins to talk about that. And she begins to understand that he's nervous, and she starts to break that down a little bit by being a little bit of a jokester and stuff, and gives him support. And they go, and she tries to tell him, you don't have to go to school today. You can wait until another day or another day. And then Subaru's like, whoa, your son's finally gotten up the courage to do this. You should kind of like support me. And she's like, I am. I want to support you all the way. And then she goes, and Subaru goes on to walk to school. And his mother's right behind him, and he starts to freak out, like, oh, what are you gonna do? You gonna follow me to school? What is this, a punishment game? No, I'm just gonna follow you halfway to the convenience store. And then they have a little chat on how Subaru's mom has been watching him the entire time. Parents in general watch their children a lot. They know a lot about us that we technically don't think they know. As a parent, their job is to watch and support their child. So Subaru's mom has seen things and has observed her son so much that she knows a lot of things. And Subaru goes and says, am I doing a good job? Am I being like him? And this is where his mom says, you don't have to be like him. You are half of him, so you just have to be half as good as him. The other half is you. You are the other half. And you just have to do what you want to do. And she goes to say that in a way where she doesn't say, I'm half of you. She says, you are half of yourself. And that's how it truly is, And he goes on to a train, like a breakaway where he is about to separate, and his mom he starts to break down on his mom, and he starts to apologize on him being how he was. And he starts to apologize on how he acted. And his mother looks at him and says, it's okay. We always support you. We always know what is best for you. Not that we know what is always best for you, but we support you, basically. Like, we understand that you've gone through a lot of hardship, but what we want to make sure you understand is we give you nothing but unconditional love and support. And Subaru starts to break down. And this is why I say this is the best episode, because it goes on to show, Subaru and his mom talk about more real world scenarios where, you don't have to worry about being compared to us. You yourself are your own individual. And, he goes off to school, and I love how the episode does this, but they panel the way they paneled Subaru saying, have a nice day, have a great day, and as she waves and Subaru walks away and turns around and waves back, he has like a little flashback of his mom saying the same thing when he was going to the convenience store, and he doesn't even say anything back. He just walks away all depressed and stuff. And it goes to show you how Subaru in character has developed. He no longer questions himself. He's no longer depressed. He's no longer fearful. The people, his experiences in the world that he was with Emilia and all them has changed him for the better to find himself. He has this breakaway from his parents to show that he's matured. He now is his own person. He isn't doing anything anymore for their attention, for their approval. He understands that what he needs to do is for himself. So he goes on to the school to open the classroom, and he opens it, and guess who it is? Equidana. I'm saying it my way. I know you were going to say it. I knew he was going to say it, but I'm going to pronounce it my way. Equidana, and, that's where our surprise was. We saw white hair, we're expecting Emilia. No, it was not. It was Equidana, and she says, you got here a lot earlier than what I expected, almost as if Subaru has just reached the ending of the trial, and that's who he was waiting upon. That's who was waiting upon him. So it was absolutely amazing as I could word this episode. The amount of the sheer message and the amount of progress that we could see Subaru has gone through and that he has done is absolutely heartwarming and like emotional. Like there was a part where him and his mom were having this little chat, and I swear to you, I thought I was gonna cry, but I didn't. It was just I could feel the like I don't know, like a weird red fuzz near my eyes. Like I'm like, damn, this is really emotional. And this episode really does go off to show Subaru's past, and it goes to show how he's grown from the person he was before in Earth, and it was just absolutely amazing, in how this episode really brought Subaru out.
Yeah.
You know, it really showed him. Alrighty, so do you want to go on to the review, or you want to do theories? For the next episode.
We can do theories for the next
episode.
episode.
Alright, so do you want to go first, or you want me?
I'll go first.
Alright.
Okay, so my theory for the next episode is, as Buddha Bear said, that when he came into the classroom and saw Echidna, he that is the end of the trial. So so I think they're gonna have like a conversation about something, and then cause remember in the last episode, I think it was the last episode, he walked out on Echidna.
Oh yeah, she was really upset. She's like, I can give you about anything. I can give you all the knowledge of the world. I don't want it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're gonna have a conversation, and then he's just gonna like leave again, I think, and then he's gonna wake up on the floor, and I think that Amelia is still gonna be on the floor, like not having like done something like finished the trial yet. And I feel like Subaru's gonna have to go into her memories and help her, you know. Yeah, so that's what I think is gonna happen. That's what I think the main plot of next episode is gonna be.
That could definitely, I could see that all happening. So my theory isn't far-fetched from Buddha Bears. I mean, BlackBears. Mine is about the same. You know, he's gonna go into the classroom. He's gonna have his chat with Echidna, and she's gonna ask him like questions. Is like, have you found yourself? Do you understand why I sent you to the past? Do you understand your trial? And he's just gonna, you know, answer the questions. He's gonna say, I found myself. I understand what this trial was, and I grew from it. And you know, Echidna's gonna say, you've passed. And he's gonna wake up like BlackBear said, and he's gonna wake up next to Amelia. My thing though is that Amelia's gonna already be awake. That's what I think. Amelia's already gonna be awake, and it would make more sense for Amelia to be still sleeping, and for Subaru to go into Amelia's memories to find out more about Emilia herself, which would be exactly what we need. You know, we need to know more about her. However, just for the sake of it, I'm gonna say that she's already gonna be awake, and this is where Subaru is not only going to gain a mass amount of information, because that's what was promised. You know, Echidna said once you complete the trial, you will find what you are looking for, and whether that is knowledge or power or just information or just something, you know, to help them in the battle against the Archbishops, or in general, you know, that's where he's gonna find it, and it's gonna just make so much sense for Subaru. And you know, that's my theory. So, are you ready to close it off?
Yeah.
Alrighty, my fellow brother bears. Whether you agreed with both my theory or BlackBear's, or whether you made your own theory, leave that down in the comment below. Tell us what you've thought about the episode, if you've already seen it. How amazing was it? Were you crying? Were you tearful? Was it extremely heartwarming, or were you just like, where's the action? I need blood. You know, whether you were either or, put it down in the comment. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. I'm your lovely host, the one and only Buddha Bear.
And I'm your co-host, BlackBear.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in with us here
in the Anime Den.